Like, okay, welcome to episode 22.
Thank you for joining us, homies. We got video.
It was
shout
good.
out to Japan.
Yeah, I kind of like this setup because like we can like see ourselves and shit. But so yeah, I'm testing out a new format. So to formally introduce this, welcome to another episode of the Working Podcast. This is episode 20. This is episode 24. I'm your host Yash, and I'm joined by my guy Jose.
Yo,
Say what's up to the people.
What up, fans? Awesome to be here.
I just hit up Jose randomly. I think was it today?
It was this like afternoon maybe.
Yeah, and
I was at work.
or actually when I had the idea about it, I think I might have.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think I might have texted you before that, and I was like, so I have an idea. It's kind of an offshoot of.
Oh yeah, you brought it up a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's kind of an offshoot of something that we had been discussing on season 2 of this podcast.
Yeah,
where we're going
Which,
to
if you haven't seen the last 2 episodes, go back, watch those. Awesome.
Yeah, go watch both of those, then come back.
Yeah, those are dope. Those are good watches.
And yeah, like the latest episode I released, like I got so much good feedback, and it really,
dude, those comments are awesome.
Yeah, it warmed up the inside of my body, even though our body naturally does that, but it was even more warm than usual. Yeah. And
so what was the idea?
Oh, so the idea was, I wanted to, because I do like the podcast where we have multiple guests and a lot of people on it. Yeah. But I kind of wanted, in a way, to go back to our roots of where we started. And we actually probably discussed on that very first episode where we started was like in your kitchen counter, just holding the mic and just like talking. And
super good on 2 separate laptops.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's so awesome.
And so I kind of wanted to get back to that because one of the reasons I had started it initially was I do like having either like that deep, like philosophical conversation or just like kind of like unraveling each other's brain and just like seeing like, okay, like what is it that makes you like tick and like what informs your thought process and shit like that. And so I kind of wanted to get back to that. That I noticed that kind of gets a little bit lost when we're doing like because we just have so many minds and so many
opportunities, really.
So many people talking, and like one of the reasons when we had first started was because we would have all these conversations, like these deep at like it'd be on the way to your house and we're like at a red light and we're like pondering like the efficacy of I don't know what and
the deepness of what's behind Saturn.
Yeah, we just talk about that for long ass. So it'd be like, yo, this shit is dope. Like, like yo, like I kind of want to share that because I'm sure a lot of people have those situations, or either they have that one friend or somebody that they speak to that. Like it just like yo, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like we're fucking good at talking.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes on my birthday, when I'm sitting there in front of the cake, and they're like, "Yeah, wish for something." It's like I wish I could record the 3rd-person camera that I have following me at all times.
Yo, oh my God!
Because if I could express some of these moments that you just have naturally, organically, you just can't repeat like the story even afterwards. It's not the same.
Yeah. Like for context, right before I hit record, we had literally been talking for like a whole hour, just like in terms of like
streaming.
Yeah. In terms of like the format of this show, it was going to be like shorter, and part of that is actually the limitation of this camera. It doesn't record more than 20 minutes at a time.
And we're getting to what the actual idea was.
Yeah. I know, right? And so the whole idea is we're going to do some more of these like intimate, like one-on-one kind of conversation type things in contrast to the larger podcasts where are like multiple guests and multiple perspectives.
Are these going to be different in form as well as in length too? Or are they going to be...
Yeah, well, I think...
Informal?
Yeah, I think, well... given how we started, but like the idea was the idea was like these would be slightly more structured, and like we would have like pre-planned questions that we can then ping pong off each other, and then it'd be like more singular rather than like, because I feel like the regular podcast it'll just be like, oh yeah, whatever comes up, we all chat, and everybody has their different perspectives and we all chime in. These could be like more like filtered, and since they're shorter, I can distribute more of these because, like, again, like I'm just gonna say, like,
We just doing it, you know. It's
like,
easy.
yo, like I'm just
Not that it wasn't.
I'm
easy
just
at
I'm
first.
just shooting shots in the gym. That's what I'm doing.
Deadass.
Because like I keep saying like this is gonna be better, and that's really the only way that's gonna happen. Like I'm gonna just keep shooting.
Doesn't it feel good, that dopamine rush, when you listen back to the tape and you're just like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. Or
It's almost like a weird exponential increase in quality.
yeah, or
Only
even
because we're so critical of ourselves, though.
100%. But like I've tried to get better on not being as hard on myself that we talked about like beforehand, and realizing I get to decide like, okay, on one end I ain't shit, so like that's great, like because I'm starting at nothing and I can only build on that.
Yeah.
And so actually now that it looks like we have 11 minutes remaining on our record.
That's the intro.
It's crazy, yo. Like how quickly like we don't realize, right? But like
you just hit record.
I just hit record and we're halfway through.
Yeah, vaina.
Yeah.
All right. So these are gonna be shorter form.
Yeah.
These are gonna be shorter. Phantasm.
Poltergeist.
They're gonna be shorter form and slightly more structured. So it's gonna be like digestible think pieces, right?
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And so for this one, actually,
digestible think pieces. All right. Cut the check.
Yeah. Word. So for this one, I kind of wanted to just get into like, just random stuff that had came up to my head that I wanted to just pick your brain about.
Okay.
But first,
these like ponderings you had during the week or something.
Yeah. But first, we kind of talked about it off air, but with these more intimate ones, I kind of want to like express kind of like the underpinnings of like kind of why we're even friends. 'Cause like,
interesting.
Because I don't know how often people examine the relationships they're in and wonder like why. because some people find themselves talking to people that they don't really fuck with and
giving them a lot of energy.
Yeah, when there's only so much you have of that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a limited resource, and so you kind of owe it to yourself to ponder, like, okay, and it's not even like you should think about who's your friend so you can like cut them off, but it's like,
it's an introspective thing. Really.
Yeah, it's more like internally, right?
Yeah.
And so I sat.
I see the comments getting spicy already. They're like, yo, he's G-checking your friendship.
Yeah, no, I sat with myself and I encourage you guys to try that as well. To just like sit down like carve out some time, because we were also talking off air how I don't find that I ever carve out enough time to really sit with my own thoughts. I feel like some people are afraid of their own thoughts, like because it becomes overwhelming because your brain can think anything.
Some people's thoughts are just aggressive and scary though.
Yeah. And so, like those are situations where like you might find that you need to dilute all of that with whatever you watch. So you dive headfirst into like season 1 of like 10
of anything.
Yeah, of anything, and just like binge
because anything is better than listening to yourself.
Exactly, which is kind of scary, but so I forced myself to think about like what is it that I admire about him, and so I'm just gonna rattle off some things, and then it'll start like the questions that I have.
Right.
So in my thinking of what I admire about him is one of them is your ability to excel at things. I feel like you reach a level of proficiency on things.
That's a loaded phrase.
Yeah. And it's loaded like intentionally, but it was kind of like if I was able to sum up like different points, it's like they're kind of related to that. And actually I put down like 3 specific things, and they all kind of like tie into each other, and so one of the things I have is like
this is like reading a bibliography.
yeah. So one of the things I had was like, and this is minimal, but like when you catch the whole thing, you'll see it like
biography.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not above being wrong.
Yeah, whatever. That you're an achievement whore, and I mean like in the strict sense, like literally like on Xbox and shit, like but there is something to that, like this idea of starting something and wanting to complete it, and whatever the reason may be, it's kind of like it goes into other areas of life where like you find yourself wanting to either you start something and then you try to see it all the way through to the end. Yeah. And so I had down that you're like that with that, and with like in your career, like with tech, and now
people be sleeping on me, man.
Yeah. And you were in a period with that with fitness as well, and you transitioned now into like music.
Yeah.
And so
while we're on the fitness thing, competed in a powerlifting competition, got a medal, second in Jersey, age, class, and range.
Yo, that's wild. So
there's only 2 people competing though. But
it's all right. You beat them. But and then the other thing is like, which is very related, is your work ethic. And so for as long as I've known you, you've worked somewhere. And so
yeah, I don't know if that's a like, oh man, that's great, or if that's like, was he all right? Like, why was he working? When did you guys meet?
Well, I'm framing this as a positive. Like, me and you met in high school, and
it was like sophomore year of high school, probably.
Yeah, probably. And you know, like, you work about as hard as anyone I know, and just the fact that, like, we were just talking about off air, how our life decisions are informed by the life that we lived and the people that are around us and the influences that we've had. Mm-hmm. I think that prepared you in a different way that led you to the person that you are now, that perhaps other people were not prepared in the same way. And I know we talked about before on the podcast where you've expressed that you've had to grow up quicker than average, and but by all accounts, at least to my view, you're fucking killing it. Like,
thanks, bro.
And you're still killing it, because like this is only the beginning. I think we're gonna see some major shit from you.
I'm excited. I'm very thankful that I have somebody in my corner. And I appreciate that more than you know.
And then the very last thing is, like, you know, your willingness to try new things is you know,
bro, because I like to fail.
Yeah. And like being okay with like not knowing, at least at the beginning, but like, again, through your work ethic and your vision to see things through, it's like, that is like, when I admire something from somebody, it's either a trait I'd like to see in myself, or just like something that's just like, wow, like that's wild. Just like in and of itself, like just to see that. And it's just kind of cool to be like around that type of energy, because obviously, you know, people are different.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think we literally have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes. So I don't want to make this. I mean, obviously, I could have just made this like the Jose appreciation episode, but what I'll do is, like, when I see it like reach like 30 seconds, I'll stop the recording and then press record again, so we have an actual 20 minutes to talk.
Right, so no pressure.
No pressure. Fortunately, the only reason this shit has that recording limit is, like we talked about
because
before,
of the regional thing.
Yeah, like there's some
That's nuts. I did not know that. I really thought it was a software limitation as to why cameras couldn't record for like long times.
And like I was telling you, I'm like, I kind of wish that's what it was, but it turns out there's some regulatory bullshit, like
politics.
Yeah, because like First of all, like this is a camera. Like
Siempre.
all you do is camera stuff. Like how do you like?
Yo, just do this, but better. Like that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. How are you limited in the only thing that you do?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And so it's some regulatory shit about.
That's crazy. They nerfed cameras.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. It's something like you have to pay higher taxes or something if you if it's longer than 20 minutes, then it's classified as like a camcorder or like video recording device. So you have to, the company making it has to pay more to import that to a specific country. So obviously a company operates only in their own self-interest and don't give a shit about the consumers and will do anything to cut costs. So they're like, yeah, we're not going to classify this as a camera. We're just going to limit this and consumers would just have to deal with it.
Yeah, and we're just going to do our taxes in Poland or whatever.
Yeah, word, because like Apple did that shit in Ireland. It's like
everybody does that, but no one says anything.
Why do you have a headquarters in Ireland? Like, you don't fuck with them like that.
Anyway,
so yeah, so actually, we're gonna step into a break right now, and then what we're gonna do is
you want to do a whole transition, like you walking away, or do you want to do like a? No, you gotta, because the slam's gonna happen.
And we're back. Let's
Damn.
go. What the hell was that?
That's the homies outside.
It's my neighbor saying I'm making too much noise. So, one of the things I wanted to get into is just kind of pick your brain of, I just want to start off with, do you have anything in your mind currently or just any thought that you feel like is taking up like the most of your time or like whatever thought lingers in your head? Or so it could be an activity too.
So like what I'm defaulting to when I'm not active on anything?
Yeah.
Well, luckily for me, it's been kind of a gift and a curse. I've been getting into this producing wave, and I've been making my own music lately. And to tell you the truth, I started last September maybe. Mm-hmm. So I got a little less than a year under my belt.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, whenever I find myself with free time, whether it be at home, at work, just outside, whatever it is, I'm trying to learn something that can improve my craft.
Yes.
And it's kind of hard because like you would think, oh, you're making music, just make music and then just keep making music until it sounds better. But no, there's a lot of technicalities that go into things. Like you can't, if you don't know what something is, how are you going to be able to understand it and manipulate it and make it sound and make people feel the way you want them to feel? Like there's feeling in music too if you haven't picked that up yet. I feel really, I don't want to say sorry, but I wish people who weren't into music could be more into music or they could channel that wavelength or whatever
it's like a general good, right? Like it's not, I feel like music,
it's like an element to me. It's like a life freak. It's like a thing that exists. It's a law of nature almost.
I feel like among our media, music is one of those things that's like, I feel like people don't really say that that's bad for you in terms of consuming it. I mean,
yeah, I remember they used to make the fight that like listening to metal makes like more aggressive people or whatever.
Yeah, like as I was saying that, I'm like, people do complain about rap music and the message that it's spreading, but like,
yeah, but is it like, I don't know. That's a bigger conversation because like what you get, what people give you to digest through the radio and just like general pop culture, like it's a business.
Oh yeah,
you know, and like when you can take advantage of people, and the way that things make them feel in order for them to give you money, and you're gonna keep doing that. You're gonna find more ways to do that.
Oh yeah,
there's so much psychology in the music business. It's like nuts. There's like barely any creativity at the
I mean,
that's just me talking shit from the outside. I could be totally wrong, but from what I've learned,
I mean, you were talking about music and how, in and of itself, it's like, this powerful thing.
It's a force, yeah.
But again, companies that have the incentive to use that power only to make money, then is how you see what you see in the mainstream.
Right.
But I was actually curious, like, I know that probably since high school, which is when I met you, you have been into music on some degree.
Yeah.
But obviously it's way different to like music and completely different to like go on to actually making it. So like how did that transition come about? Because I do like personally I find myself mimicking the content that I like to consume.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't watch something like Game of Thrones and say, yeah, now I want to make that. Like, because, you know,
Good
obviously, I realize I am one person and there were hundreds working on that.
Yeah.
And so that realization as a creator is kind of demoralizing, but also at the same time, you have your own lane and you realize that we were talking off air about how all these companies are competing for your attention. We're here in my kitchen and I am also competing somehow, right?
Just give us a piece. Just give us a piece. That's all we want. That's the game, though.
Yeah,
because attention is the only actual what currency, I guess. Is the word?
Yeah, it's the currency in the business model of the internet where it's all about selling ads. And so that realization and saying, like, you know, you have these humongous companies doing that, but also a guy in his kitchen. That's wild. And so that's why I'm not like demoralized that I can't create that, because like I don't have to create that. Like, to get your attention, I just have to make my own good content.
Exactly.
And so,
like, all those homies did it because they liked that, they had the passion for it, and they thought it'd be a good idea for them to do it. Like,
and like we were talking off air also, like that there's different scales of that, right? Like there is like that person that had the idea, but then you can dramatically scale things up.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? How you said it? You said there's always an amateur and there's always a pro at anything.
Yeah.
That was a good way to put it.
And so
wait. All right. So going back to the actual question.
Yeah.
Not to make it super long form, but when I first started getting into music was...
Wait, does it say we have 2 minutes left? Are you fucking shitting me?
Damn. Well, I learned how to play bass guitar, I learned how to play guitar, and then I learned how to play saxophone.
We're gonna keep going. Yo, is that real? All right.
It's about to be. Unless you run out of storage.
No, it's a new card. Oh, maybe I gotta delete some shit. We'll be right back. Yep. And we're back again.
Maybe like a zoom effect, like out of the hand, like.
So, we got a new battery now. So yeah, we were talking about how
I look better now.
So I was asking what got you into
and all going from just appreciating music to creating music.
Yeah, because that's a big like jump.
So just starting from the jump point of high school, while I was in high school, I was trying to learn how to play the guitar. So wait,
you learned that in high school?
I was practicing in high school. I was learning.
Yo, that's wild.
That's pretty dope. I never thought about that, because I think back still to like kids who played guitar and stuff, and I'm like, yo, I wish I would have spent more time.
No, yeah, because like I see what you know now, and I'm like, oh, you just picked that shit up like mad recently, like in like retrospect to like. Cause like
even the homie thinks the come up is
like you just pick that shit up and like,
well, granted,
like most people don't get even to like a minimal level of like you played a snippet before,
and it was I'm autodidact too. Everything I know is self-taught.
Like you played a snippet where you were playing something and you put it into a creation that you made. Like what? You learned that shit in high school. Come on. All right.
All right, so I was learning how to play guitar in high school, and then towards the later section of high school, I joined the marching band, and they gave me the opportunity to learn how to play the tenor saxophone. I rocked it, practiced super hard, early morning before classes, during lunchtime, after school, during band practice, and then I took the saxophone home and practiced it. So I became first chair tenor saxophone, which is like lead tenor or whatever for the marching band and the jazz band. I think I was first tenor in the jazz band. And then all throughout that same time, I was playing rhythmic music games. Shout out to Rocksmith and Guitar Hero. Rocksmith too. Rocksmith, Guitar Hero, and Rock Band. In playing those games, I was finessing my rhythm game because of the guitar controller, and then they also had the drum sets. So I learned how to play.
It's pretty similar to actually playing the guitar, right?
It's honestly, if you learn how to play guitar, playing Guitar Hero is harder.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the logic,
more timing?
logically, it doesn't make sense when you know music.
Yeah. But Rocksmith is, or
Rocksmith, you use your actual guitar.
Oh,
like,
okay.
There's like a aux cable or a 3.5 quarter, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
to USB, and like it measures your actual notes, which is cool.
Yeah.
I should be using it a lot more actually to practice. Shout out to Ubisoft. Cut the check.
Yeah, word.
Cut the check.
We'll know you.
But I was learning how to play. I was learning how to hone my rhythm game too, because I was playing drums on that stuff. And then while I was in college, I was still messing around with my bass guitar. I got super serious in trying to be like a studio, like a session bass player.
Yeah.
So if you guys need work, know what I mean, cut the check.
Another one.
So I was doing that during my whole college career, and then when I got out of college, the music honestly died for a little while when the rest of me died. Jeez. And
but now you're a phoenix born from the ashes.
yeah,
right?
for real. Yeah, on some real. I came back and I wanted to get back on my guitar game. But one of the things that I learned while I was learning do all my guitar stuff back in college was that like people were recording themselves and then like creating music digitally on the computers. There was this one dude, I think his name is Jared Dines on YouTube. Look up the homie, Jared Dines. He's a metal musician.
Link in the description.
And he would show him and his homies, they all had bands and stuff, but they would record their guitars into their computers and then just like program drums that sound like metal drums and then just like lay them on top of each other, and that's a track. Like they don't have a studio, they don't have a label, they don't have a contract. I was like, he could do that? And I looked up stuff, and then I found out about FL Studio, and I was like, bet, I'm gonna do this thing.
The rabbit holes.
And that was it. And like September, I just like, I just started learning it, and then I purchased the program in like December, and then I just been, practicing whenever I get my free time.
Yo, that's crazy because like...
So if I had to answer it in a snippet, the reason I make music is because I want to make music that I want to hear. And people haven't made the music that I want to hear yet.
So you're just like, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands.
Yeah, I want to make shit that I wish I could listen to when I was in high school or college, or going through my own trials and tribulations, like at every step of the way.
And I think you'll find perhaps the same. I feel like that might be like the origin story of maybe other people who came up.
Probably, yeah.
It was like, because obviously the beauty of how big this market is, and also specifically now that we have the creation tools right at our fingertips, is that anyone can be a creator. And like that's a beautiful thing.
Entry is so low now.
And so like it's wild because like you picked that shit up in September, and like balancing all other life shit and doing that, like
word. It's a tiring task, but
big ups.
It gives me a reason to wake up in the morning.
Yeah. And I feel like it's so important to find that, and like I find myself obsessing over like little shit like this. I think I don't know if I recorded it at the top of the podcast, but
what's up?
Mentioning like that we were trying this different format or whatever, and like that was just something like I just woke up and was like, yo, I kind of want to do that.
Yo, it's time to create.
Yeah. Like. I found myself in particular in this time period right now where like I had a couple of days of break. My roommate's coming. I had a couple of days of break.
Also, he's back from LA?
Yeah. Oh, no, he's been back since yesterday.
What? I'm so confused on his timeline. All right.
Okay. What's good, Steven? Is it raining outside? Yo, that's wild. That's good.
Okay.
So, like, I had the idea, and... I don't know. I tend to just like Jose's like one of like the creative people that since I know we're kind of on the same wavelength as far as like creating shit and just like
it's crazy.
Yeah, just like making stuff. I'm like, let me text him like let me hit him like bad early in the morning. I'm like, I got this idea. Like, let's work on this. Like, let's do it. And here we are now.
Yeah. How much time we got?
We got 5.
If y'all take anything away from it, it's like one of the things that a couple of my mentors have told me before is try to keep your yes-no balance in the like 70 to 30 range.
So which one is 70 and 30?
The 70% is all of your yeses that you're handing out, whether it be to other people or yourself. And then the no's, you should be primarily concentrating them on the energy that you're giving away. That way you're keeping the energy to yourself so that you can do more yes stuff. So like, the more opportunities you take up and the more chances that you take,
Yeah.
the more risk you're giving yourself, which ultimately grants you more reward.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize that because
It's invigorating. It's so much dopamine, man.
it's so easy to get caught up in the fact that risk can go bad, but nobody really ever weighs heavily the good side.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, I'm not taking this risk because things could go bad. But like,
We were talking about that earlier too in the green room. That same thing. Like, I'm not going to deviate from the plan.
Yeah, because I'm afraid of what's going to happen. It's like,
Yeah.
but you're doing that based on the expectation that it's already going to fail. So like,
You got to get creative on the strength of the idea.
yeah,
And just go.
Yeah, like, obviously things could go either way, but
Yeah.
you kind of owe it to yourself to find out which way it goes. And if it does go the wrong way, then fucking pivot.
Yeah, you learn from it and move on.
Yeah. Like, that's one of the things. I was telling Jose that on the Working Podcast Twitter, which had been dead like while the podcast was dead. I just kind of brought it back, and I'm doing more than just like posting links to the episode. I'm also doing things where like you're fine. I was also just posting like musings and just things that came into my head.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was kind of criticizing is like that I don't like that, especially in our education system, we disincentivize failing so much, and the cause for failing is like super high because you get left back, and all of a sudden like your life is like ruined or whatever. But it's like
like there's no coming back from like going downwards.
Yeah. Oh, you failed math. That's it. It's a wrap for you. Like, don't try to come back from this. And it's like, no, that's the terrible.
You can't remember. You can't memorize this formula and use it in every single question I give you. On demand, on command.
Exactly.
Wow, you must be an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dumb, bro.
The idea that we're doing that and people face so much pressure to cram for this thing that they don't realize in the grander scheme of thing, like, doesn't matter as much as they think they do. Like this arbitrary problem solving, like the idea
arbitrary problem.
Yeah, like you're not actually solving any problems. You're reading a prompt and like answering based on that, but that's supposed to like that's like being in the gym, right? Like that's supposed to like cultivate like and strengthen that muscle that you have.
Yeah.
It's like, and you fail, but then you get back and then you keep on trying. But like
rinse, repeat, like things don't stop.
In school, when you fail, it's almost like, oh, that's it. Like it's treated as something that should be avoided at all costs. And I think that's a major problem.
Yo, you know what's crazy? You brought up this one thing and they shame you. It's not even like they make you feel bad. They make you feel ashamed.
Yes.
Or you like in the core of yourself, you're a bad person
that you
now.
shouldn't have done that by any means. Like, that you didn't, because there's like this odd expectation that you're supposed to like plan everything beforehand and, have a successful outcome every time.
Yeah.
When the people in that room that are like pontificating this shit know damn well they made mistakes and became a better person as a result of it.
Yes.
It's so wild that we live in that system,
but it's not.
And it hasn't changed for years.
But it's not the teachers. I don't think we can blame the teachers themselves. I mean, some of them probably aren't helping by just doing whatever they're told.
Yeah, they're in their role.
But education's a business too. We talk about it all the time. Incentives. It just skews things into totally different directions that you're not supposed to be flying in for the benefit of your community, anyways.
Yeah. But
wait, how did we get on that? What were we?
Yeah, I don't know, but segue.
Reel it in.
But I do appreciate. We're like at 42 seconds. But I do appreciate that you do pursue that and teach yourself how to do things. And I actually would like to end with playing some snippets that you have been like low-key saying to me here and there.
You got to use the shitty camera. That way, like, you don't get that high-res leak. The place that does not release
somebody would pirate your shit. That's an honor. But
I need a producer tag.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here, and then when I press play again, we'll be listening to some snippets. Yeah. We'll end it with that.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, my guy. All right. All right. We'll be
about to drop some bars. My boy's name's Mars. Put him in a trash can, and now he got SARS.
Like, ew, that's nasty.
That's the plan, B.
What?
My homie.
Is it like,
oh, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Tripping, jive, turkey.
All right, so I want to thank Jose for joining the inaugural episode. I mean, it's another episode of the Working Podcast, but it's a slightly different format. Like I said, I will be continuously experimenting with stuff, and I kind of like this in contrast to like the big stuff. So I do like the multi-person ones, but I also like throwing these up, shorter format ones, even though we've hit record like 4 times already. So we'd like to end this version with some snippets of some creations that were made by Jose, also known as Riho Beats. Follow him on SoundCloud. Link in the description.
Am I tossing up like beats I released already, and then like whatever?
You could.
How much time are you trying to use? I guess you could just chop it up. We could just chill.
Yeah.
Just chill, and then you just use whatever.
Yeah.
I started with the turn up joint.
Yeah. And also as far as I'm concerned, like, we're just chilling. So like, if you play that, like, and it's as long as it is, like, I'm gonna just throw that in there, like, in the video. Like,
I feel like this particular beat, and it's barely a beat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it might be a beat, but it's not like fleshed out.
Also, I think for the audio version, it's probably easier if I have like, or I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, this is gonna be weird because we're not using headphones, so it'll be a little hard to.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
unmuddy it.
No, well, what I was saying, what I can do is if you have like the source or the actual thing, I can actually just
splice it in.
Yeah, I could just throw that into the timeline and.
Well, I got that for anything that I'm gonna play now, so.
Yeah. So yeah.
I have a direct label and producer, bro. Come on. Writer.
You got your masters?
That ass. Oh no, man. One of my coworkers trying to buy my masters.
Word?
He's been saying
already he might give you a 360 deal.
He's like, Jose, I'll give you $100 for all of your masters. 100. And
for all of your future creations.
He started that in January. I got him up to $300 now. Yeah. $300 and I'll give you a sandwich.
Yeah.
For all your masters.
No. We need that. We need that interest to keep compounding.
Yeah. We need that 80%.
Yeah, just keep charging it
for life.
Yeah.
Take care of my kids and my grandkids.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
I want the wild royalty check. We're now playing. What is this one called?
This Burrow Walk. This is a joint that I sold.
Oh, you sold this? Oh, that's hard.
This is a joint that I sold.
Yo. Look at this guy.
We out here, gang. I'm hoping, it's so weird because like setting aside time to make tracks with the intention of selling them is different than it's different than going in the fucking lab and just like working on making something that you want to make. Cause like you have to leave so much space for the artist to be able to do the artist thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cause I was gonna think like, do you think it affects your work like quality wise, or like do you think that it makes you like?
I just feel like it's too.
Do you restrict yourself more? Do you feel?
I feel like it's almost two separate crafts.
Yeah.
So like I could be a producer like Dr. Dre, and I can make the tracks that you could float on, and you could just do your thing, or I could be a producer like Flying Lotus, who rarely ever uses other people's voices on his tracks, like to do like lyrics, and he'll just like make an experience of a song. And I love creating experiences of songs because I want you to feel like you're traveling somewhere. I want you to feel like it resonates with you on like your human frequency, if that makes sense. Like you as a person.
Yeah.
So it's so hard. It's hard to like set aside time for both.
Yeah.
And do them both proficiently.
Yeah. And I mean that's true because like we know like at least with like rappers, like there are some that are like either like really good as just features, or like they're really good at just like freestyling. Like their freestyles are wild, but
like
then when it comes to
Ty Dolla $ign features,
oh my bro,
kills it.
The features are awesome, but then when it comes to their personal projects, it's just like
nobody gives them light. So
or like or the rappers that just they come out with a wild freestyle, like fucking like Joyner Lucas, like he just can't like his freestyles are wild, but then like he'll come out with like his studio shit, and it just doesn't get the same buzz.
Releases,
Yeah, just doesn't get the same buzz. But I think he's gonna break through because he's like, I feel like he's kind of different.
Low key, I feel like he already made it.
Yeah,
like he already put enough of a stamp on the game for him to be here for a while, unless he fucks up somehow. Yeah, like real big.
Yeah.
Like I got my eyes. It's funny you mentioned like up and comers. I've been listening to a lot of like female rap lately.
Have you heard Meg
Stallion? Yeah, she's bar star. I've been listening to her.
Crazy.
I've been listening to Rico Nasty. I've been listening to No Name.
Rico Nasty's a girl?
Rico Nasty's a girl, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she kills it. She got bars. She got energy too.
Word?
She got hell energy.
I kind of like this like renaissance of female rappers coming. Like probably they've been doing their shit for a while, but like their prevalence has grown as you've seen people like Cardi B reach like the level she has.
Yeah.
More people, even within like the same industry that she was in, like stripping, like are like, oh shit, like she opened that door for us.
Yeah.
We're not just, we fit to that sexy like picture of like,
the appeal, the sex appeal part of it.
Yeah, but we also got like wild bars.
Yeah.
And that's like fucking cool as hell. What is this one called?
This one's called 24 AM. Check out the photo I used for the single cover. That's a shot of downtown Grove Path Station.
Hey.
It looks just like it looks today, but it's like so different and
How long ago was that?
It's like in the 60s, I think.
What?
Fact check me, internet.
Yeah. So somebody they're like, actually. Oh, damn, that looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's funny how architecture can last that long and outlive multiple generations.
Yo, I talk about that stuff with Sharon all the time.
Yeah.
About the fact that like there are bridges that were built 100 years ago that are still letting people walk over them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they knew how to create those things with primitive technology.
And somehow back then they knew to like make it like good enough.
Like
obviously those are maintained, but
think about how an arch works. Like an arch, like it barely makes sense, but because of physics it does. And they were like, we could do it. Yeah. And they did it. Yeah. And it still works.
Yeah, that's
Did you hear that they had to like redo the definition for the kilogram recently?
For the what?
The kilogram, the kg, like the unit of measurement, the weight.
They did? Oh.
Yeah, because they used to use some weird like sphere from way back in the day that was it weighed exactly 1 kilo or something. So they were like, this is the unit of measurement for all of the universe.
I love how that's so measured. What the fuck do we use for the pound?
But our measurement for the foot and the imperial system is literally like a dude's foot.
That's
some king
wild.
All the
it's
way
so
back
arbitrary.
in the day.
I mean, it's all arbitrary. It's just numbers. But
he's just like use this. And
but at least like the metric system seems more organized.
It makes more science. Yeah.
It
makes more science. This is my latest track. It's not even released yet. This one's called, I don't know what it's called yet. Actually,
ooh,
exclusive.
We get the exclusive leak in low quality just for you.
The tentative name was called King Whistle. All right, so
think about that.
All you torrent sites that's gonna
now you know what to name it
and take out our voices just to get that version.
Like selling instrumental.
Oh my god, that's why I need a producer tag so I can throw over my beats. That way people can't just steal my shit.
Yeah, do you got like a younger cousin or something? We don't want to be beats.
I want to tell you the truth. The moment that I want is when I'm working with like a local artist, and they're just like in the booth and they're about to go in, and like the beat drops, and they just say some shit.
On the beat, ho.
or they throw me in one of their rhymes. I'm part of a bar. I'll just take that snippet of the bar and just throw it in there.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you were actually helping someone clean up their sounds.
My buddy Heido.
Yeah.
Heido Byro, shout out Kick Up.
Yeah, shout out Kick Up Group.
Yeah, we were chilling. He's releasing a mixtape soon. I'm not gonna say much about it because I don't know how much he wants me to say, but he's working on some stuff. And I was helping him do the mixing of it. I'm like my cousin's mixing engineer. Like Kendrick's engineer's name is Mixed by Ali, so I'm like, hey, that's me. I'm the guy. I'm the guy doing the thing. But we took a version of one of the tracks he was working on, and it sounded. I almost want to say like AM radio. Yeah. Like just like no body. And it's just like, like it sounded cool. Like the beat was dope and the bars were hard, but you could barely hear what he was saying and the beat was just real muddy. Yeah. But I was able to dissect, and it was a session that I got, and this is only going to make sense to people who know about music production and stuff. But the session was created in Logic Pro and then exported. And then I had the stems, but I didn't know how any of the actual like music tracks were arranged or anything. Like there was like 5 different verses and they all had the same thing. Like I didn't know if it was a dub, something was an ad lib somewhere. And And my cousin's doing his thing to hustle and get his money so he can like, keep working on this music craft. Cause like, cool, it's become a big part of his life too, the same way it has mine. So I was just working with him trying to piece this thing together, and we were outdoors the entire time because I'd lost my keys. I left my keys somewhere. It's another story for another day. But we worked like 4 hours on this track, and now like if I played it, I didn't get a response back from him. Or maybe I will play it, and then you could just like bleep it out.
No, just do like a snippet.
I'll play it to ride it out, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we have like 4 minutes left, so you might as well just.
It sounds tremendously better.
Yeah.
Compared to what he entered with. Yeah. So I think it's going to give him a good platform to like bounce off of from. Yeah. Whatever his like release plan is going to be.
Yeah. So we got new music from Byro. This is a snippet mixtape coming soon. Link to his SoundCloud in the description. Go check it out.
Today when this came out.
Yeah, exactly, right? Sometime in the future, when I edit the other 2 podcasts that I'm still recording and the one that I got to record on Saturday.
Oh, word.
I'm out here. Let's go.
Yo, he went in. When I was listening to this, he was showing me all the other tracks on his mixtape, and I was like, "Why haven't you released this shit yet?" And he thought this was one of his like just like a side track. Oh. I was like, "Bruh."
Oh, I thought he was like J Electronica.
I was like, "Nah." He just wasn't thinking about it that much.
He better release. Yeah.
I was like, "That's the one."
Yeah. Yo, Byro, don't wait for the perfect one.
There is no perfect one.
Yeah. Just keep working on your craft.
I heard so many stories from like the industry shit.
Yeah,
I heard so many industry stories about like mega hits that were on the radio and like got mega streaming numbers, and they were just like a B-side from like 7 years ago. Yeah, like things that they forgot even existed. So it's like, yo, save everything.
You never know which one is going to be your big one.
Put everything out because the internet is infinite.
Yeah,
just like put all your stuff out. I was having a conversation with some dude on the internet the other day about the whole concept of like albums and releases and stuff. I was like, we don't have to make albums anymore. I don't know why people still release albums.
I think
like, we were constricted by the technology. Now there's no restriction. Just release whatever you make.
I think what's dominating that is like the business aspect of it, like in terms of like how
has to be a package,
how their contracts work and shit. Like,
well, that's the thing.
That's like the old guard. It's like, oh, you have to like package this.
I see. Yeah.
Like maybe contractually you have to make 12 songs for this and release them all as a cohesive thing. Yeah. Even though you're realizing that the landscape is changing, the way we listen to music is not even the same anymore, and like, with the prevalence of things like playlists and shit. When you have things like that, it's like it diminishes that power that the album used to have. And I mean, people still listen through albums, but I feel like people don't feel as compelled anymore to do that. Like they'll pick the songs they like and then listen to a playlist.
Right. I personally, so I'll find a bunch of like new music through playlists and just random suggestions, but I always make it a point in myself to like go back and hear the entire project that song was made from, because I like to hear things with context. That way I can understand whether or not something is hitting harder than it should be because of like something that happened before or after or weaving in. I like that kind of shit. Yeah. But what was I talking about? Listening to records.
Yeah.
So I do that from time to time too, but you're right. Like it's not, we're not trying to just sit down and like, ingest the whole fucking. Yeah.
I try to do that with, what was it? Tyler's new album, Igor.
I haven't listened to it yet. It's on my list.
Yeah. I have to listen to it again because like I was making time to like listen to something. I was listening to it like half asleep, so I didn't really like.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but
at the end of the day, not really.
So the track that you just heard was unreleased music from Byro. Go catch his mixtape.
Shout out Byro. Shout out Kick Up.
Yeah, this concludes episode 24 of the Working Podcast. We will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thanks again. You awesome. Oh, you're the homie.